Okay, y'all are gonna have to forgive me because I forgot to shoot an intro to this, and most of this was filmed close to over a year ago now. This is most of the finished product for the video that I'm putting together here, and it goes over pretty much just the refreshing of the interior of my old second gen RAM. New headliner, new dashboard, new carpet, grabbed some new floor mats too along the way, and did a bunch of sound deadening as well. Most of these clips were shot well over a year ago, and I think on 3 different cell phones. A couple of them had some really weird autofocusing issues, so it's going to be a little like blinky on the focus for a couple of the clips. A couple of them were filmed with another cell phone. One of the cell, well, actually, no, both of the cell phones have completely crapped the bed on me, and I do not have a way to get the video off of them. And they were not backed up to my Google Drive at the time because it was out of space. So bear with me. We're gonna have some chunks missing here and there. There's gonna be some funky video flickering going on. Moving forward, we should have a little bit better quality. This camera seems to be doing a much better job. And yeah, let's go ahead and jump into whatever I can salvage out of this. All right, we got the dashboard out. That I kind of sucked to do by myself. What I did was I put 2 milk crates down, one over there, which the steering wheel doesn't really rest on it, and one right here. I've laid them both long ways. So when I got the dash out on one side, I could bring it back just a little bit and set it on that milk crate. And then when I got the driver's side loose, I forgot to get the little connector that shows on your gauge cluster what gear you're in. So I had to go back up under there and figure that out while the dash was hanging loose. But got it up over the steering wheel, set it down on this side, had it on this milk crate, got in the middle, got up under it, picked it up, and then kicked this milk crate out of the way, and was able to get out of the truck with it. So, yeah, that really sucks to do by yourself. But here it is in all of its shattered glory. So the next step for this, for me, I guess, is to go through and disassemble all the plastic off of this dash. I'm going to leave this mostly together until I get the new aluminum dash in. The lead time on those was about 3 to 6 weeks, based on whether or not you wanted it powder coated. So while I've got all this out, I can get in there and get the heater box stuff fixed. I can maybe see about getting some foam, to seal all these edges back up. I heard something about the blend door in these having the occasional issue. My blower motor was kind of on the fritz already before the HVAC control panel went out. So I'll probably replace most of the easily replaceable parts in that HVAC box. Give me a chance to really clean out all this up here against the firewall. Like I said earlier, pull the carpet out, maybe replace that. But yeah, now we got a blank canvas. A lot of cleaning, because this thing is nasty. But that's it. The dash is out, and I'm happy. All right, and this is what our floor pan looks like. It's actually in pretty good shape. I don't see any rust that I need to worry about. I might want a wire wheel there and there, just a couple spots, just paint's bubbling a little bit. There was a leak in this truck at some point. That was the mounting stuff for the original spare, the bottle jack. I even had a little rubber strap that goes over it. It was still rubbery and not plasticky, which is surprising. But overall, looks pretty clean. The carpet was kind of nasty, and this can use a good wipe down at least. But I'm not seeing any significant areas that I need to worry about rusting out. Here's the carpet that came out. As you can see, it's kind of nasty. That was the original color back there under that tray in the back. Driver's footwell had a pretty bad leak in it, and I knew about that when I got the truck, and I could never quite figure out where it came from. Now would be a good time if I can get it, bolt that steering column back up and plug the airbags back in, put the seat back in, drop it to the front yard, and spray it with water hose until I see water coming in. That'll probably be the best course of action. That actually would not be too bad, but I can do all that once I get this mostly cleaned up at least. Heater box still needs to come out, get the heating and air fixed. I've got a new heater core, new evap core. But this is all in pretty good shape. Like I said, this part here was in a leak, and it's fairly damp, but there's a little bit of surface rust right there. So I might do the Chris Fix method that I saw him do on a video to, I think he was pulling some weight out of Z46. But get some dry ice in here, drop it in there, and then bust that up. I'll probably wind up having to wire wheel that and then spray paint it back again, but I want to find the leak first. So step 1, clean. Step 2, get the heating air fixed. Step 3, maybe pull the headliner down. I'll probably go ahead and do all that too. It'd be a good time to pull these B-pillar trim pieces out and replace this headliner. It's saggy a little bit, but it's not too bad. But I also think I might do some sound deadening in here. I think Amazon sells some really cheap alternative to the Dyna. I think it's a Dyna Pro, the real fancy sound deadening everyone uses. But if it's cheaper, I'm not trying to make a Rolls Royce. But I've got everything out. It'd be a good time to do it. And there's a couple little spots here. I mean, that's not too bad. But I've got some black spray paint. This doesn't need to match or anything like that. It just needs to be sanded off and covered back up. So yeah, on to the cleaning. So this is in the way. You can see it's kind of this discolored white color. You can see where I tried hitting it with a wire wheel, and it's slow going and it's a mess. So I saw online you can use dry ice. I tried doing that yesterday. There's the bag. I didn't get enough, clearly. I'm going to give it one more shot before I do it the old-fashioned way, which I believe is using a heat gun and a scraper, which I've heard is nasty. So driver's side's worse. It had a pretty bad leak over here, some bad water ingress. I'm worried about rust under here, so I want to get this up, repaint underneath it real good, and then lay a new mat down. This goes all the way up underneath the pedals, up onto the firewall there. I'm not too concerned about that area up there. If I can just get a pretty good cutoff around where it turns from white to the black color it's supposed to be. Coming to the passenger side, there was some nastiness over there as well. So yeah, we'll start with the driver's side because it's worse, and then hopefully I had enough left over to do the driver's side. Or sorry, hopefully I have enough left over after that to do the passenger side. Well, that was a complete and total waste of time. The little bit of rust I was concerned about just didn't exist. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, these mats are so well adhered to the floor. They're probably fairly water resistant considering they're mostly made of like a rubbery material and glue. So that water's not really getting down onto the floor pan. The one spot there was some rust, where there was a circular hole in there. You can even see the outside of that edge there. I got that wire wheeled up, and realistically, I should have just hit some of these spots here in the back, painted over all of it, and been done. But once I started pulling it up, I couldn't stop, So once I got past where the old floor sound deadening was discolored, I took my scraper and I tried to draw, a fairly straight line across. And I think with the new one, I'll probably just go up and over that and just leave a small lip there. Which, I mean, it's going to be under carpet, under jute. It's fairly thin material. It's not really going to be noticeable. But it didn't seem worth it to pull the rest of that old material up. That juice just didn't seem worth the squeeze. So I went through here. Like I said earlier, that dry ice on the passenger side, it's finished and melting off. It didn't do anything over there either. No success with the dry ice method. So I took my heat gun and a couple of scrapers and just went at it. It takes a little bit to kind of get going, but if you hold the heat gun on there long enough, it more or less melts the adhesive. Once it gets good and hot, it's easy to remove. So the slowest part for me was just getting it soft enough to pull up. And then I was able to go back behind the second time with the scraper, get a bit more of that residue up. And then I used a wire wheel on the drill to kind of clean most of this up. I still want to come through here. I'm going to pull that tab, all the screws and fasteners through here and pick that up. I'll probably wire wheel out the bottom of that because it's kind of dirty too. And I'll just paint over all this. Yeah, I'm not even going to worry about taping anything off. Nothing down here's got to be pretty. It's going to be under carpet. I don't expect anybody to be seeing it again anytime soon. And if they do and they want to judge me, well, yeah, go ahead. I don't care. I just need to paint the stick, and then where the paint don't stick, there's already paint. So moving on from here, I'll get this pulled up, cleaned out, show you all some of that, and then get it cleaned really good and get it painted. All right, well, I got the layer of primer down. You can see. Just going willy-nilly with the overspray. It didn't really bother me all that much. I could probably cover up a little more of those pedals, maybe a little bit of the blinker stalk, but I'm kind of going down. I'm not getting a lot of kickback. Most of it's, for whatever reason, the airflow of the shop's coming right back into my face, which I really appreciate, because nothing like huffing spray paint. But yeah, most of the spots covered with primer. I'll come back over once this dries for a couple minutes with some black paint. You know, like I said, it's not trying to make it pretty, just trying to stop the rust. A little something I saw in another YouTube video is, for some of these oddly shaped things that you want to keep from getting paint on, cover them in tinfoil instead of fiddling with paper and painter's tape. That seems to work really well. Same thing for my mirror up here. You know, like I'm going to pull this headliner out and all that stuff, so I can, any little bits of speck that I get on there, which I doubt I'm going to see any of it, but I can clean all that off way better once it's out of the truck, because I can get the backside of everything too. You know, I'm going to be cleaning even spots you can't see once it's all back together, like, you know, this top part of the firewall and stuff. So, you know, a little bit of overspray is not that big of a deal, honestly. I'll be able to wipe some of it off as long as it's not real thick. And I'm trying to just do, like, you know, a spritz, give it a second for the dust to settle, spritz, instead of just loading this thing up with the aerosol. So yeah, it's about 5-6 minutes, and hit it with some real paint. And a few coats of paint later, you can see the driver's side floor pan is covered. A few little spots here on the passenger side. Like I said, you know, just cleaning the rust spots up, covering them up with some Rust-Oleum, something that says it inhibits rust. I don't know how well that works, but I tried to clean them out pretty good regardless. You know, so not show car level quality by any stretch of the imagination, but it's covered and hopefully shouldn't rust anymore. Like I said, the driver's side was kind of a waste of time to pull that sound deadening out, but it's out, and we've made our bed now. We must lay in it. The next thing to get done is to clean up the firewall really good, get this back panel removed, get that clean once this all dries really good. I'm going to wait for this to dry before I do any of that, so I'm going to give this a couple days to cure really good, because I've learned my lesson about reassembling things I've painted way too early. Well, it looks like my phone stopped recording for some reason. Anyways, the light here in the back, you pop the plastic shell off of. There's 2 screws and the housing falls down. Unplug it. The one in the middle, 2 screws in the front, whole housing pops down. Just plug in the middle, remove it. Plugs for the sun visors. Remove your grab handle over here on the passenger side. The coat hanger tab that's behind the driver's seat over there. And then once that's down, the whole thing just falls down onto your head while you're sitting in here. Next thing on the to-do list is to come through, clean this out so we can add some sound deadening. You can hear a little bit of a difference between the factory sound deadening and this back panel, which has none. How that kind of sounds hollow. That sounds a little more muffled. So we're trying to go for a little bit better than this, but more or less everywhere on the truck. You can hear there's a lot of reverberation on the firewall. There's a lot on the roof. You know, there's some on certain parts of the floor. So we're going to go around and add some of the rubber butyl mats to that to stop that reverberation. Then we're going to come over the top of that with some sort of foam. Then we're going to lay our carpet and all of our interior back in here, and then start reassembling this thing. I guess a fun thing as I go would be to do a little test of before and afters in the areas I'm putting this on. So this is the middle of the roof. And here's after. Passenger side. and driver, and driver, passenger. Yeah, it sounds a little bit better. And this is the rear of the truck behind the driver, passenger, and then middle. And back to the back panel behind the driver, towards the middle, behind the passenger. Well, it's not going to win any beauty contests, but we got a lot of the sound deadening rubber laid down to help with the harmonics or the vibration of the panels. Just kind of knocked around to fill the spots that sounded hollow and put it over. I got a mild improvement just about everywhere I put it at. Some places definitely more than others, especially this back wall that was like banging on an empty drum, and this is much better now. So yeah, next thing, start cleaning up the foam and vinyl board that goes up against the firewall. You know, a lot of people like to use mass-loaded vinyl and foam to help dampen sound as well. The firewall already has foam and vinyl, so I don't have to add anything up there. I'm still thinking about whether or not I want to add a layer of foam under here, or if I want to go ahead and get carpet just to get this thing back on the road and save a few bucks for now. I think that's what I'm going to do. And then later on, I might come back and add foam underneath the carpet, because the seat's actually pretty easy to come out, and the carpet can come out without pulling the dash. So like I said, get this foam and vinyl board cleaned up and reinstalled back on the firewall, and I can get this back area cleaned up and get this back panel reinstalled. I went ahead and ordered a headliner or new headliner material yesterday, so I need to get that recovered and reinstalled. So I can get the HVAC box in. That one's put together now. So we're reassembling. We're not going down any further. We're putting things back together now. I'm excited. I started doing this with just a rag and some soap, and then I realized that I got a steamer for exactly this reason. So come back over here and do this a little bit of spray with soap and water. And let the steamer keep warming up. Alright, get the headliner out. I guess we're just going to start separating material as best we can. I'm going to clean this up with a wire wheel. Sorry, my neighbor is cutting grass. So maybe a little bit of that action in the back there. Thankfully, I don't care about getting this dirty. Oh yeah, delicious. Let me get a tarp. This is going to be nasty.
will shake it off and then just beat the devil out of it.
Oh, sweet, it's got jute on it. This may sound weird, but I really don't want to unroll that on the ground and get dirt on it. I know it's just carpet, but it's brand new. So we got driver's side floorboard here. That can't be in here. And the carpet is in the truck. As you can see, we got it mostly trimmed up, got all the holes punched in it. I got a little carried away here. What I was doing to get the holes punched lined up, I was reaching under there with a pick and just sticking it up through the holes, punching a hole in the carpet, and then just trimming around that with the razor blade. Got a little carried away here where the clamp goes for the bottle jack, and knocked holes in the carpet that were really unnecessary. Kind of bothered me a little bit. But hey, too late. I already cut the holes out. So I cut some little patches to stick down in there to kind of hide them. And that acts like it's way easier to see that on camera than it is to see that in person. So, and it will also be under the seat. So the only people who will know about it are me and the 2 people who watch this video. So we just won't tell anybody. Other than that, I like the color. It does feel nice. And if you want to compare that to my original carpet that I have on the ground over here, this is just properly nasty. And I'm sorry, my shop's a mess. Just ignore all that. But this is the original color. You can see how much it's faded there in the middle from sitting out in the sun, how it's stained where we had a water leak on the driver's side and the heater core was leaking on the passenger side and all that there in the middle. Even if I took that out front and cleaned it as best as I could, there's no saving that. So compare that again to the inside of the truck. Really the only thing I have left to do now is to get this headliner recovered, and then I can get that reinstalled, reinstall those B-pillar trim pieces there and there. Once those are in, I can hook the seat belts back up at the bottom, reinstall the shelving on the back. I need to clean that. This part is pretty dusty, so I need to go in and clean that up. And I'm waiting on the dash. I did get a new steering wheel off eBay. Mine's properly crusty and nasty, so I'm excited to get that on. And one more little thing, if we walk over here, where I've been doing a little bit of painting, working on my inner Picasso, that in that black hole there is the clamp that holds the original bottle jack. That's where I put those holes in the carpet for no good reason. Those are the bolts. These were really, really rusty. So it took me about an hour and a half to clean that off between, you know, a drill brush and a Dremel. But I got it cleaned up good enough to feel comfortable putting paint on it. I got primer on both sides. I only got paint on this side, so I still need to flip it over and paint it. And then these bolts, I just put a couple coats of primer on. Hopefully that'll just keep them from rusting. Like I said, clean those up with a wire wheel. And that's going to have to go up under the carpet, and I'll have to cut slits for the prongs to stick through. That's not too big of a deal. And then, you know, the jack sits in there. There's like a little rubber tab that goes over the top of it. And I'm shocked that I still have all that stuff. So yeah, I'm overall happy with the carpet, especially for $180. It's really not that bad. If I were to say, you know, I think I think there was a little more trimming that was really necessary. I know they want to leave some extra material. It's better to ship carpet that's a little too big than it is to ship carpet that's too small, obviously. But I had to cut, you know, 3-4 inches off the front, a couple inches off the back, you know, 6 inches probably off each side. But yeah, the carpet, like I said, it feels good. It looks good. It's got the jute padding on the bottom like the stock carpet does. And outside of my bag cutting, it seems to fit pretty well. And as you can see, we have the new headliner in the truck. It's not really a perfect match compared to the sun visors and the old plastics that are up here. The original headliner was more of a tan color, but the dash that I'm getting to replace it is gray, and I need to replace this overhead console here. And the company that makes the dashboard for that, they also sell a console that actually spans the whole center length of the roof, has a little cubby in the middle. So I'm probably going to get that as well in gray. So I'm going to see about trying to get these either recovered or reordered in gray or figure something out there. But for $30 of material off of Amazon, this looks and feels pretty good. I'm very happy with it. And I've never done a headliner before. It's not perfect. There's definitely some rougher spots, as you can see. Let me get the shadow out of the way. Around some of these corners, I didn't do the best job cutting and tucking. I think this is a little pretty covered up by the A-pillar when I get everything back put together. It's not perfect around the edges, but we've had leaks on this truck. I see evidence of leaks on the truck around the corners here on both sides. And that fiberglass material was kind of soft and squishy. So when it deformed, it didn't go back the original way. This side actually looks pretty good. We got a little bit of stuff going on right there. We come on over to the driver's side. We'll just come into the truck. You can see we got like some dimpling right there. But overall, I am fairly happy with the job. I went a little too fast, I think. I could have slowed down and been a little cleaner. But like I said, for $30 of material, it was just that and some 3M headliner adhesive. And funny enough, if you look at the directions on this thing, may not hold material in a vertical or horizontal application for headliner adhesive. So I really want to know the story behind them having to put that warning on the bottle. But yeah, she's in, and now we can start putting the interior back together. I'm really excited. And here's the finished product. Forgive me, this truck's been on the road for about a year now. It was my daily for a little while. I had it parked for the last couple months because it was starting to overheat. So I just went through, did water pump, radiator, a bunch of coolant fittings, a lot of new hoses, upper and lower radiator hose. I think all the heater core hoses are new as well. But here, yeah, we have the LRB dash right here. My scratched up gauge cluster still. You can see some of the cladding around the wheel didn't exactly go back in neatly. So I'll be scouring some junkyards for all of that. Seats and door cards are still original. Hadn't messed with those besides just pulling them out and cleaning them. Headliner up here, as you can see, is new. It's got a little bit of cellulite here and there, but it's holding up pretty good after about a year. And I've got the truck idling here just so I can make sure it's not overheating anymore. So it's been running for about half an hour now, just sitting here while I wipe the interior out. Doors are just doors, but got those new floor mats. I think those are from Husky. Carpet sitting in there pretty nice. You can see I did over trim a little bit right here. That's annoying. But everything else, that jack stand I mentioned earlier, it's all fits down here, looks nice. Other angle of the dash here. So I still need to go get a cup holder. Actually, I still had the original cup holder that came with the truck, but the spring is missing. And LRB Speed, the company who makes this dashboard, they have an aluminum cup holder. And not only is it gonna not crack on me and be great, the openings for the cups are a little bit bigger. So when you use these bigger tumblers, they should sit in there a little bit better. So I've just got same deal, junkyard, got to pull it. So this dash reuses all the original vents and everything. You just have to do a little bit of, and most of the original plumbing for the vents as well. But hey, the air conditioning works. The heat did work until the heater core started dripping. So I've got to get back in there and pull my HVAC box apart again, which sucks, but hey, it's together.